So there was the revolution in Cuba before Castro, which was in what year?
Well, there was more than one. In fact, there was a series of them. And I remember it got so bad that my mother insisted on walking with me. I was young enough and in grade school, didn't have to ride in a car. We'd walk to this little grade school, which was taught personally by a lady who had established the school in her home, Mrs. Hall. And we would walk there from our house before we even moved into the Waterman's house. What good it would have done, I do not know, because in those revolutions, bunch of guys would get in a car, which would be a limousine with an open top, and we would sit in the back of that car and spray the sides of each side of the street with machine gun fire. I wouldn't have done a bit of good to have my mother standing there beside me walking to school. But anyway, those revolutionaries had different names. There were so many of them. The man that was the president when I was first born was called Gerardo Machado. They were all dictators, and he was too. And all these others were. But I remember one of them's name distinctly was Jose Grau San Martin. And I remember the barber, Mr. Forrest, here in Saluda, asking my dad at the barber shop, "Well, Henry, is Gru San Martin still down there?" Gru San Martin.
You set him straight with the pronunciation.
But that was about the time when they had a revolution along that same time that we spent the winter up because, well, I'll tell you what triggered it. The ambassador shortly before that, the ambassador had called each family on the telephone and advised them to bring all their family members and spend the night in the National Hotel in Havana. And so the Mannings and we all went down to the National Hotel. And Blair and I said, "Oh boy." And we got out there and we started riding those hotel elevators up and down, and our parents didn't know where we were, and they were in consternation, and Blair and I were having the time of our lives riding those elevators. but the next year.
Seems to be a pattern in your life, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Taking away from the parents.
the next winter, my dad said, "Well, we better try to make it up here." So we put a little wood stove up here in the bedroom above the stairs here, and the lady that came in and kept house for us, Lula Mae Halbert, she would bring in firewood and start a fire every morning. But that winter, we were up here, and they said we had a telegraph, so we went down and picked up the telegraph. It was from my dad. Said, "Don't worry about me. Whatever you read in the papers, says I'm well and fine, no, not in danger."
So all of you all were up here.
But what he didn't say was that when he sent that phone, he was lying on the floor of his office in the Central Station building, calling the telegraph over the telephone with the bullets coming in through his office window. So my mother chastised him about that, said, "You weren't very safe." But that's the message he sent.
Right.
And he didn't get harmed.
He relayed relayed that the full
To
story
the, oh,
later
oh,
on?
no, he didn't. He didn't ever say that was it. That message. So that if we read a headline in the paper saying about that the central station had been machine gunned, we wouldn't worry about him. Anyway, that was the revolution. The result of that was that a man named Geraldo Machado, who was the chief of police of Havana, came in and took over the city of Havana. And he sent a wire out to another man, said, I am now the head of the Cuban government. You will obey all of my orders. Well, it just so happened that the man he sent that message to happened to be named Fulgencio Batista. And Batista sent him an instant message back saying, my name is Fulgencio Batista. I am a colonel in charge of the rural guards of the island of Cuba, and I have the city of Havana surrounded and am now the president of the island. So that was, Batista was the last dictator before Castro.
Yeah. And what year was it again that your first winter here in this revolution? Do you remember what the year?
No,
Okay.
I don't.
Okay, well, we'll find out what year that was. Huh. And what was your take on when you heard about Castro usurping Batista?
Oh, that was sort of ongoing. I was in and out of college then. I knew, well, my dad knew it was coming because all the wealthy families, they loved Batista because he would do exactly what they told him to do. My dad and the railroad liked Batista because they transported his troops, the rural guards, all over the island, and he paid his bills on time always. But the wealthy families of Cuba took every penny of their money and sent it to Switzerland, France, Germany. None of it stayed in Cuba. Now, Castro was of one of those wealthy Cuban families. So he knew exactly what was going on. That's why he pursued the revolution.